Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Across the Pitch. We're the soccer show for people who think Chonburi is a kind of Greek yogurt.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Probably the best one yet, because on tonight's very special 20th episode, the Across the Pitch team travelled to fabulous Southeast Asia to become reacquainted with a long-lost love. We take a walk through the bustling back streets of Bangkok and we learn some of the local language. No, you're not on the Lifestyle Channel. You're listening to Across the Pitch. But first,
go give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find us on all three of those at Across the Pitch. And also head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. If you do that, we'll mention you on next week's episode.
Tonight we do have what we think is a 5-star episode coming up for you. We have a very special guest joining us. Those of you in the Phoenix area are certainly familiar with this guy. We're talking about none other than Phoenix Rising legend Chris Cortez. He's the club's all-time leading scorer. He was the top goal scorer last season with 19 goals. This season he has taken his talents all the way to Thailand. And he's going to sit down with us tonight and talk a little bit about where his career has gone overseas, the new teams that he's playing for, and of course we talk some Phoenix Rising memories.
Very, very happy to announce that we have an Across the Pitch exclusive. We are going to have a chat to Phoenix Rising all-time top scorer, legend, and fan favourite, now currently plying his trade in Thailand, none other than Chris Cortez. Welcome to the show, Chris. Hey.
Welcome to the show, Chris.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, we couldn't be more excited to have you on.
It's a privilege to get to talk to you, especially after watching you these last couple of years down here in Phoenix in the desert and what you brought to the team. And so we're just thrilled to get to talk to you, man.
I'm really happy to be able to kind of I know a lot of people have had some questions over the last few months in the off season and everything, and so I answered some on a Telemundo interview, and I figured, hey, I can kind of tell everyone in the English speaking community as well kind of what's going on.
Fabulous. Because we all want to know, and surely the first question that we have to ask you, Chris, is why? Why the move to Thailand? I'm sure all the Rising fans out there want to know. I mean, was there an offer to stay here in Phoenix, or did you just want to try something new?
Well, for starters, yes, there was obviously the door was always open to return to Phoenix. It was something that I very much had kind of thought was going to be in the cards at first, and I thought it would be a matter of kind of sorting out coming back. But the fact that my contract was up, and fortunately had a very good year as a team and individually, and so it was kind of, hey, there's a possibility of exploring other options, kind of seeing what happens. I think Coach Rick put it best. He said, the ball's pretty much in your court right now, and so for me, it was just I kind of spoke to a few agents and had a few talks about things, and then at first it was kind of talks and everything, just kind of see what happens and go from there. In the meantime, just kind of sit back and wait and enjoy a little bit of rest, and then kind of work on recovering my hamstring and just getting healthy.
All right.
But then it was actually, social media of all things, an agent happened to message me on Instagram, and I saw it and kind of did a little homework on him, had a couple mutual friends that knew him, and they said, no, he's a good guy and definitely has some good connections in Asia and can really sort something good out for you. And said, okay, great. And he actually helped sort out Sebastian Velasquez from Monarch. Sorted him out in Korea as well, and so he had a few different options, one in Korea, one in Thailand, and then it turned out actually Thailand was the best. To be honest, for me, the kind of the big factors with it were it was a new challenge, and it was something different, a different country, and then on top of it, it was Phoenix didn't even come close to matching as far as an offer went with money, and that obviously doesn't hurt causes either.
That's fascinating. It's not something we've mentioned on the show, Chris, but privately within our chats here at Across the Pitch, a little surprised, to be honest with you, at just how low the USL wages are.
I can't speak for every Rising fan. Obviously, as I told you before we started recording, my 9-year-old son was disappointed you didn't come back. You're one of his favorite players from last season, but we get it, man. It's a business, and you have to do what's best for you and your family. So if you thought Thailand was a good move, then we're going to support you here, because you could always come back and you're going to get cheered and clapped in that stadium. So with that, man, what is life like in Thailand? Has it been a bit of an adjustment for you? Are you liking it over there? Has it just been kind of just strange?
Oh man, where do I start? For starters, to kind of add to a bit to what you said, yeah, that's one thing that Bobby, Julie, and Rick both were very big on, was saying that the door was always open and I was always welcome, and we definitely left on good terms, and they understood what it was about also. So it was, I involved them in the whole process and communicated with them, and they knew everything from the first contact I had with everyone else, and so they knew the entire thing, and so it was kind of a very big understanding. They have said the door is always open, and so maybe in the future, if things pan out, I may return. I wouldn't rule it out. I love my time there. That, to be clear, for starters.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So as far as Thailand goes, well, it was it actually was a pretty easy transition. It definitely it wasn't terrible. The good thing was I had to fly out actually Christmas morning, for starters.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Which was interesting. Yeah. So, and actually the hamstring injury ended up being a blessing in disguise, because I needed up until Christmas in order to be fully fit with my hamstring, and the team was already doing a preseason tournament through a sponsor of theirs from the beginning of December, like December 1st. And so because I still wasn't even close to 100% yet, I couldn't report. And so I ended up actually being able to spend Christmas Eve with my family because of my hamstring injury. And if it hadn't been for that, I would have had to report probably around just after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Right on. It's cool how that worked out.
Yeah. So actually the team, when I reported, the team had a week off. Like, that was their last day of training. And so I showed up, signed paperwork, and then everyone in the club had a week off pretty much for New Year's. And so the point was to get me sorted and situated before then. And so it kind of gave me a week to pretty much explore. So my agent and I both flew out. He's based in Southern California. And so we both flew out of LAX, and we took the flight together. And after everything was sorted with, just paperwork, just literally just signing paperwork and kind of doing a little photo op and announcement. After that, we basically had a week to kind of explore everything around. And part of my contract is the club provided a car. So that was nice that I had a car.
Nice.
Could just there you go. Took a couple trips to Bangkok. We went down to the beach also and stuff like that and everything, and just were able to explore, and also helped me in that week to deal with jet lag.
Right.
A 15-hour time difference. So
I know that one very well, Chris.
And it was pretty cool, actually. So Cody Wakasa actually happened to be out with his family, already had planned a trip to Bangkok.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and so over that time, just before New Year's, I actually got to hang out with him and his family, who had to hang out in a couple markets in Bangkok and do some exploring too. So it was pretty cool to see him.
So it was good then for that adjustment. You kind of had some familiarity around you with Cody and your agent, and so it wasn't just like you were dropped in this new country, no one that you really knew. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, that helped a lot. And then especially with having a week of no practice or anything, that would have been a lot to deal with.
I've been to Bangkok, and I've only been there for a day, and I can tell you that it's overwhelming. It overwhelms the senses. So
yeah, and let me tell you, I was really hitting the ground running, because they drive here on the other side of the road from America, so it's like England and stuff, and so adjusting to that and then driving in Bangkok on the other side of the road was a really like oh man, hit the ground running and here we go kind of thing.
You're brave. You're brave than me. I'm used to driving on the left-hand side, and I would never drive in that city.
The Thai League, obviously, here in America, we probably aren't all that familiar with it. So tell us about what you found the competition to be like in the Thai League so far. How does it compare to what you've seen in the USL and in the States?
I would say pretty much ability-wise and everything. I would say player by player and technical individually and soccer IQ and that. I would say it's pretty similar to what we have in like USL and stuff like that, and like MLS things. I wouldn't say it's a very big difference. I would say the big thing for me, the big kind of difference I've seen is just I would say just in style of play. I would relate it a bit more to kind of that technical and ball on the ground and really not playing a ton of long balls and really trying to play out of everything, kind of similar to, you could say, like kind of almost like in Mexico, how they keep a lot more of the ball on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
A lot more play through things and out of things. That was very much the thing. Also, in the club I'm signed with, Chonburi is especially known for really never lifting the ball up in the air very much, or never playing any through passes, and everything playing through stuff. And so it's just a bit about just finding a solution to everything on the ground and timing that, and always being an option for other people on the ground as well.
So the style of play is what you felt is the biggest difference then.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say we're a lot more direct. I mean, especially with even in Phoenix. I mean, I thought we played a lot more possession than the majority of teams.
Sure.
Say a couple of top ones like Orange County, I thought really did the same thing. I thought Monarchs did it as well, and Swope to an extent. But I mean, aside from that, you look at a lot of teams were a lot more play the ball behind and run on. So I would say just if you look at much more of the possession-based teams, that would really be much more kind of the style here.
Right on.
So, Chris, you mentioned Chonburi there. Tell us about that transfer, because you were bought by Chonburi and then were loaned out to, and forgive me with this, Ayutthaya, I believe it is, which is the... thank you. They're in the second division there in the Thai League. Was that an unexpected event, or was this something you knew was probably going to happen? As fans, I mean, it kind of caught us as a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, honestly, it was. I truly trained with Chonburi for about 4 weeks total of training, and then afterwards, I mean, things were going okay, and I was easing in, and it was just a matter of kind of getting my fitness back up, coming back from my hamstring and everything.
Right.
And I mean, it was pretty big surprise. Essentially, the coach just said I wasn't going to be in his plans for the year. At first, they were thinking of me maybe playing cup matches, and then afterwards they changed it to, we'd rather loan you out to another club. And I mean, most first division teams are going to have their team set already, and so it was really kind of find a place in Thailand that I could, because it was very last minute, and very much the Thai transfer window was closing on a Tuesday, and this was kind of happening on Thursday, Friday before.
Oh wow!
And this was the week before league started for the first division. Thai second league was already playing their second game of league that weekend, and so it was kind of like scrambling to find something. And luckily, had a bit of a niche where Ayutthaya really needed a striker and didn't really have an out and out number 9, and so it kind of worked out to be able to at least like find a team and be able to play. But I mean, it's just, that's football, not every coach is going to like every player, and it was a bit of a surprise for me, to be honest. But at the end of the day, I mean, I've got a team and everything, and also, that's kind of for me the most important thing, was just being able to have a team and have games and be able to play and kind of make a name for myself here in Thailand. And
yeah,
sure.
That's one thing kind of the coach here at the second division team in Ayutthaya emphasized, was like, look, I know it's not ideal, and he said, I know you'd obviously much rather be in the Thai Premier League and stuff. He's like, but look, if you come here and you score 10 goals in the time you're on here, at least 10 goals, then, you can make a name for yourself and kind of have some more options and decide where you want to go. So my loan deal is until June 30th. And then after that, it's kind of, that's up to Chonburi, the coaching staff, and obviously agents and other options. Kind of, we'll see what goes from there. So in the meantime, I mean, it's like, hey, look, I've got a home, I've got a team, and getting incorporated, and played my first game this last weekend, and so now it's just a matter of kind of getting things going here.
It seems like Ayutthaya is a team on the rise. They've got a new stadium. They've got an awesome new badge, a new name. What are your impressions of the team coming in? Does it seem like an outfit on the rise to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so last year they were actually in the third division in Thailand, and now they've come up to the second division. And I mean, for a club that's just moved up to second division, how well they're organized and how well things are going and how smooth and how well they handled even me and my process and everything was incredibly well done. I mean, everything behind the scenes, they were scheduling vans and having people pick me up from hotel to drive me to practice until they got a car settled for me and everything. And everything's been very, very professionally handled, and it's been made things very easy for me to just focus on playing, and that's it. So I have to say,
that's the important thing.
They handle stuff very well. That's been awesome, and I mean, their fan base is incredible. We're talking I actually traveled to their second league game with the team. I wasn't able to play. I wasn't registered yet, but I just kind of went and watched the game from the stands and stuff. And I mean, even a game that was probably a 2-hour bus ride away, you had a good 150, 200 people at least traveling over from our fans, traveling to watch the match and cheering the entire time, going crazy. So it was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask about the supporter culture kind of over there in Thailand, but you kind of touched on that. So they're taking their football pretty seriously then.
Yeah, they are. I mean, yeah, it's pretty impressive. We had our home match this past Saturday, and that was also really awesome. And I mean, a game that was even at 6 p.m. and we're talking it's like high 80s, low 90s for the most part in temperature. So 6 p.m. at kickoff, it's still pretty warm and the sun's still kind of out. And even then, I mean, we had a good 3,000-4,000 people at kickoff. And as the sun went down, you saw more and more people creeping in and coming in. But yeah, I mean, for what you'd say is second division in Thailand, it's still a great following and a great fan base. So
that's awesome.
I think Thailand's probably a little bit underestimated, and I can say this, I'm a little bit qualified in this because Australia plays in the Asia Conference. Thailand has typically given Australia, who were, now former Asia Cup champions, given us a bit of a run. So there's obviously some sort of footballing culture bubbling up there, which I'm interested to see.
Yeah, it's really come up. I mean, you look at the majority of clubs were founded in, mid-2000s. The best in the league is not very old. But, I mean, even in the last, 5-10 years, you've really seen a huge trend coming up and really trying to compete. And now you have the champions from last year is a club named Buriram. And Buriram is they competed in Asian Champions League and got to knockout stages in the Asian Champions League and everything. And so, you really see I think they got to, if I remember, I know they got to at least quarterfinals.
32,000 seat stadium. I saw that online. They have a huge stadium there.
Yeah, if you check out their stadium looks like something from Europe. I mean, you could compare any kind of European stadium. It's unbelievable. The pitch is impeccable. Everything's super modern, everything. And I think it's just that Thailand is always really loved football. And I mean, there's huge following of Liverpool, Man United. They love the Premier League, La Liga out here, and it's crazy. They love football. And so now that they have their own league, I think the interest has just bubbled very, very fast. And now there's because of that, sponsors see it, and there's been an injection of money, and now it's becoming a bigger and bigger business every year and a bigger and bigger league every year. And so now they're definitely splashing cash for more and more foreign players and things like that. And so that's kind of where it's going. And it's just a real up and up trend to really catch up with the real leaders, which I would say Korea and Japan, China, big ones. And, I would say Australia is very below average. But I mean, you look at the big, I would say as far as the level of play everyone talks about, honestly, those big forwards, Korea, Japan, China, and Australia are really the ones that are doing in Asia. And I think Thailand is trying to become one of those first tier leagues as well. And I think they're on their way to doing so.
Fascinating.
And Toyota has a big sponsorship in the Thai league, correct?
Yes, yeah, they're the ones who run the league, and then also Chang, which is the beer company. Those are kind of the main.
Now you're speaking our language.
Last week in the show, we did a bit of a Phoenix Rising pre-season rundown on players to look out for and what to expect from the team. And a name that kept coming up was Solomon Asante, and we had a bit of an argument, a bit of a discussion about him and his abilities.
Yeah, I listened to last week's after I saw the comment on Twitter. I was like, okay, I've got to check out their podcast and see what it's about. So I did get to listen to the majority of last week's episode. So I heard the whole
excellent. Excellent. Happy to hear that.
Oh, thank you.
So you said you read the article too, huh?
I just listened to the after I saw the kind of the comment from Bill on Twitter, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go check out the podcast and kind of listen.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I just kind of clicked on the website and listened to last week's episode.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that, mate. Sorry. I guess my question was, the consensus from us was that he has the tools to be playing for MLS, right? For an MLS side. Why do you think he's not there?
Well, I think he didn't even realize before, and America didn't realize who Solomon Asante was. I don't think anyone in the States knew who he was. Mostly played in Africa and stuff, and so It was like, he's an unknown quantity. And then he came in last year in the USL and obviously ripped things apart and incredible. I mean, to get double digits in assisting goals, and not just that. If you watch the game and watch his influence and what he does, and he's an exciting and entertaining player. I mean, he's the kind of player that teams would love to have. Wreaks havoc everywhere he goes, and he's just a problem for any team. Like, that's just the best way I can describe him. Constant problem. And so for me, I think it's just the fact that he finally, through Patrice, got an opportunity to come to the United States and be able to play and showcase himself. And now that he did it in the USL and proved it, and it was like, okay, great, and obviously I know he had a couple options and possibilities that kind of he was exploring through off season, but the thing is, at the end of the day, he was still under an option, still under contract, and they were trying to maybe figure something out with a transfer, but I know it ended up just working out where he came back to Phoenix, and I know he's just happy to get another year and hopefully can at least repeat, if not improve on the success from himself individually. I think as long as he can do that, and then once he becomes a free agent, I think MLS teams are going to come begging for him, kind of thing. So for me, it's not so much that he doesn't have the ability. For me, it's just a matter of he's tied up in contract, and maybe we wait a year and get him for free instead of having to pay a transfer fee over this offseason for him. And from a business standpoint, that makes sense from an MLS club. And after that, it's a matter of him exploring and deciding what he wants to do.
About the Phoenix Rising MLS possibilities, do you think it's a club that can make the MLS?
I think it is. I think they showed it. You look at just this last year and the year before, the success and even the improvement off the field and fan base from first year to second year of Phoenix Rising. The amount of people and the average attendance, and especially over the summer in the heat and everything. And you look at how enjoyable that was, especially you talked about like some of the big league games, let alone in playoffs. If we had a 10-12 person thousand stadium, I think it would have sold out just as much as a 6,000 that went up to 8. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, so I know it's something that the owners had kind of explored a bit as far as like possibly expanding, and it was something they had considered and they weren't sure about it. And it's almost a tough dilemma because it's like how big you make it and what's the right number and all those kind of things, especially with the true infrastructure being hopefully in the future with an actual stadium and everything. I mean, for me, it's just, they've done everything right, and the owners have done no wrong. They've done everything on their part. They've been super proactive with everything. I think on the field, we try to do our best to really provide entertainment to keep getting people to come back, and I thought that really happened and then some last year. And so for me, it's just, I mean, you don't see a reason why they shouldn't get it.
Excellent. That's so good to hear, because I tell you what, this community is aching for a winning team.
It really is such a great organization, and just coming out to the games there's always stuff for the fans, whether they be giving you a magnet or a keychain, or they're always giving you a little something out there. And then, of course, the dollar beer nights.
They're always fun, those nights.
Chris, I just got to ask this because maybe just for a little background on this question, I'm a Chelsea supporter. And so how could we have you on and not ask you about Didier Drogba? What was it like for you playing with the Chelsea legend?
It was awesome. I think it was thoroughly enjoyable the whole time, just being able to kind of talk with him and everything. And he was very regular. Another one of the guys, for the most part, he spoke the way any other kind of the experienced guys did, when Rambo was still coaching, when Sean was there last year, Omar was there last year, Jordan as well. All these kind of older guys, they all act the same, and they all have this experience, and they all, kind of share it and have this mentality of winning. And I think he constantly did that and constantly wanted to win. And that was to me, it was a kind of a lead by example thing. Aside from that, he's a pretty regular guy. He just happened to have done some really awesome things and had some pretty cool stories, and has missed calls from Zinedine Zidane on his phone, and so you're just like. There's certain things where you're just like, oh man, like wow, that's crazy. But yeah, overall, I mean, yeah, he's super awesome. He's very, very chill, very down to earth. I mean, he's a guy that doesn't need to be flying coach with us on flights to away games, and he still does. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
I think it's little things like that are just testament to like who he is as a person and everything. And I mean, as a player on the field, it's awesome to be able to like have discussions with him about things and kind of clarify things. And I think it's one of those things, he's definitely a guy that sees all those things beforehand. I think that's the most impressive thing for me. And the thing that stood out to me the most that I think is an underrated quality is, and it's not just in games, seeing it in training every day, the fact that he is a guy who makes up his mind so early about things and knows all the time what he wants to before the ball comes. And maybe sometimes he doesn't execute. No one executes everything they want to do. That's just football, and that's the reality. But yeah, just to see the fact that like he always knows what he wants to do and always knows what's around him is like for me the most impressive thing, because like I saw him maybe in the year and a half that I played with him, a little bit more since he was training and stuff, but just under 2 years that I saw him maybe get caught on the ball like at most in every training session and games, probably like 10 to 15 times over those 2 years, where he really didn't have an idea. The rest of the times, okay, maybe it didn't work out, or maybe he had a off touch or an off pass, but he always doing. And for me, that was the most impressive thing.
So last year, he was gone for a large chunk of that year because he was on the World Cup duty, things like that. And during that time, being someone that came out, it felt like the team had formed this really good chemistry. And then again, speaking as someone who Drogba for me is one of my favorite players to play the game, obviously won us the Champions League in 2012. But it felt like when he came in back from the World Cup duty that it almost like the chemistry wasn't there anymore. Did it feel that way for you guys? Was it kind of difficult when he came back late in the season to kind of figure out this new chemistry now that he had shown back up?
I think it's always going to be an adjustment when you change someone in your lineup, regardless of who it is, whether it's Drogba, whether it's Rigi, whether it's, say Devin plays instead of Gladson, or Gladson plays, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a run of games where you have, say you have 10, 12 games where you have the same players, and then suddenly you change and have a different thing, like, that's going to change obviously a lot of things, and that's going to really kind of, everyone's so used to playing a certain way. And so, you're going to have to adjust, and it takes a little bit of an adjustment to that, and an adjustment to, the reality is, like, he's going to provide you some different things than other players will. Maybe he doesn't cover the distance that, say, like Devin Vega covers at a number 10. He's not going to cover that same distance that Devin does, where he just runs around all the time. But at the same time, like, he's going to be more of an outlet than Devin is, and going to be able to hold up the ball more than Devin does, and things like that, and be able to help me win some headers, things like that. And so, it's just a matter of adjusting to those small subtleties, small things that he brings and his assets versus someone else's assets. So I think that for me was just the thing. It was just kind of just adjusting small details and realizing, okay, cool, we need to start doing a little bit of more of this with Dids, and so we can get the best out of it. Yeah. And I think for me that was kind of the biggest thing, was just kind of just finding that a little bit too, And obviously the other thing was, he wasn't training while he was gone, and so for him it was also kind of getting that match fitness back too. And it took a couple games for that as well, and so chemistry / lack of match fitness, is like the two things that kind of just take a little bit of time to do. And so after 2-3 games you saw it really click again, and
that was what I noticed.
Games before playoffs kind of worked out, and so by the time playoffs hit, I thought we were firing on all cylinders again.
Definitely. Well, that's great, man. Thank you. And then after the interview, you said that you would give me his phone number, right?
Oh, he'd kill me.
We talked a little bit earlier about the injury that you had in the Western Conference Championship game last year against Orange County. And the thing about that game is that was just an extremely physical game. It was also a club that you played for before. What was it like in such a big game and such a physical game? Just tell us a little bit about that game. I know what it was like for us as a fan watching it. What was it like to be on the field for that one?
Oh, it was a ton of fun, honestly. Those are the games you dream about playing in. I think that's the best way to describe it. I think the game also lived up to the hype. That's the other thing too, you know. I think sometimes these games can get a bit bogged down by nerves or, you know, becoming very much a chess match and kind of waiting and that kind of thing. And I thought both of us kind of really went for it and really wanted to win the game. And we had played each other so many times. We knew what everyone brought to the table. And it was like, all right, let's see who's better on the day. That's what it kind of comes down to, you know. Yeah, a physical match, it was. That's the way you play a final. Both teams want to win, and so both teams aren't going to give you an inch. That's the reality, you know, and so you're going to do everything you can. And if that's rattling guys' cages a little bit to try and take them off their game, you know. I mean, you look at a guy like, obviously we were talking about Solo earlier, and I think that's a big example. Look at a guy like Solo. It's like he's a hard guy to stop, and so you hope to maybe foul him a few times to try and stop him, but then after, you know, Solo on the other hand is like, okay, cool, I'm going to draw a few fouls and get them to get a couple yellows, and then suddenly they have to
right, yeah.
So, you know, it's that constant, you know, back and forth strategy where can I rattle a guy enough to get him off his game versus, hey, can I get a guy to try and rattle me enough to get some yellows and then really make him think twice about things. And you know, it's constant little battles like this on the field. Aside from that, yeah, I think obviously scoring in the first couple minutes really helped our cause and really like, I think
didn't it?
That was an amazing strike.
Thank you. Yeah, that was that's can't ask for a better start because as a team, like, we completely dictate everything after that, and they were just really just shell shocked, and I thought that really helped a lot. You know, our big thing was start fast and really kind of come out flying, and this is a final, and let them know, you know, despite this being obviously a home game for them, it felt like a home game for us, and I think everyone would agree that was there, or even watching it, you could really feel that.
Did you have a favorite goal that you scored when you were here in Phoenix? Was it that championship game one, or do you have one that really sticks out for you?
That championship game, that one will probably be one of like the most memorable ones, I would say. Just the occasion, obviously the timing, to be able to do that. And having played for Orange County before, knowing people, you know, in the stands, and then obviously just my whole family was able to come out to that game too.
Fantastic.
I grew up about 15 minutes from that stadium, so that's also the awesome thing is just kind of to be able to do that, and then what that meant, and being able to win a trophy on top of it all. For me, like the occasion, everything, that'll be one of those memorable. I think also one of my favorite goals was the last game of regular season the year before, when Drogba crossed that ball far post against Portland, and to be able to reach it. I thought that was one of my favorite finishes. Just it was funny because I remember talking to Rambo, and Rambo said, he's like, I saw you going to shoot for it, and I thought, you idiot, why aren't you bringing the ball down and finishing it? And he's like, yeah, then I saw you finish it first time, and I thought, bloody hell, what has he just done?
That brought the place down. It was fabulous.
You know, Chris, I think for me, one of the things I enjoyed most about watching you play was just the little movements you would have off the ball or when receiving the ball. And so today, while, you know, preparing for this, I went back and watched a bunch of your goals on YouTube. In the game against Seattle, up in Seattle, Abdul Salam played a nice little cutback pass for you. And you took this touch that just took, I mean, you had a defender sliding in and completely just bypassed him and then just calmly placed it. And as I was watching that, I thought, man, that was, for me, my favorite goal that you scored, just because of that movement that you're so good at, those little movements off the ball, the way you drift off defenders to get open for headers, or the goal you just talked about, you kind of drifted off a little bit and you finished that Drogba cross. And so that's what I appreciate about having you here, man. And we're going to miss you this year.
Oh man, yeah, that was I definitely like that too. That was one of my fitness coaches said was a very underrated goal too. And he's like, I thought that was one of my favorite goals you scored also. I mean, I think it's just being able to see the guy out of your corner of your eye, and then I see him like already starting to slide as the ball's coming to me, and so it's just kind of like, okay, cool, you've already made your decision. Just take advantage of your momentum and use it against you.
Yeah. I mean, it was just beautiful, that little touch right to the side, and then it set you up perfectly just to place it.
Thank you.
Chris, looking to the future, where do you see yourself going? Is there a return to Phoenix Rising? Should they get into MLS? Or maybe, I don't know, a career in the A-League in Australia, perhaps?
Well, I need to know who your club is so I can know which team to sign for in the A-League if that happens.
Sydney FC.
Okay, there you go. All right, mental note. No, to be honest, yeah, for me, I it's kind of see where it takes me, see where football takes me. I think, I never thought I would live in Phoenix for starters. I never thought that would happen, and then suddenly Phoenix became a second home for me. Now, who would have ever thought I would have been in Thailand, and yet now I'm here and being able to explore. And I was in Singapore this last weekend doing work visa things, and got to hang out a little bit there as well. And so for me, it's pretty cool, like where the sport is taking me and everything. And so I'm curious to see where it will take me in the future. I'm very open to any and all possibilities. Not being married and not having a girlfriend really helps causes to be able to move around. I'm not having to, settle or worry about, say a wife's agenda or a girlfriend's agenda that she works in a certain city or something. I can just up and move anywhere I go, and that's pretty much it. And my family likes it because it's a good excuse for them to be able to visit new places and explore as well. They're already discussing when they can come out to Thailand and do everything. And so that's kind of, so yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, just continue to be able to try and improve and play the best thing. And obviously now that Asia as a market is kind of opened up for me. Absolutely. Now it's, can I try and really do the best I can here, have a very good year here in Thailand, and then see if, Korea, Japan, or China are on the books sort of possibility. And maybe even Australia. No, that's the last shot I'm taking at the A-League. I'm just kidding. No, so yeah, I'm very open to kind of anything, obviously, Phoenix going up to MLS, that would definitely be an enticing thing, and it would be nice to return and go back, and obviously they being in MLS, they definitely have a budget that could match anything that's going on here in Thai League, and it absolutely open possibilities again, and it's something I would definitely be open to. So kind of see where the future holds, and I'm not ruling anything out, and for now it's just enjoy my time here and try and continue to score goals and try and hopefully have another year at least the same, if not better than last year over here, and then kind of go from there.
I wish you all the best with that, mate. Well done.
Yeah, we'll be rooting for you from over here.
I don't know if we can get any of the Thai League on TV over here. We'll have to look into that, Phil, eh?
Yeah, I'll have to do some research and see if we could stream those games.
Yeah, the only issue is most of them are at because I've kind of found a couple websites and that are like kind of like pirate websites and things. But it's kind of tough because most of them are during our games here are at 7-8 p.m. 7 p.m. for the most part. So that's 4 a.m. California time, 5 a.m. Phoenix time. So it's an early wake up to watch it live, regardless.
Chris, we have one last question for you. This one we didn't give to you beforehand, so we're sorry for that. But is there anything that you want to say to the rising supporters about your time here?
Can't do anything but thank them. I really just can't thank them enough. Show my gratitude for all the support through everything. Obviously had my knee injury and stuff a couple years ago, and how to be able to come back and the welcome back and the support, and then this last year how awesome they were, and in home games and were the very obvious ones, but even the away games, and I think Orange County was the epitome of that, and just can't thank them enough for all their support through all of it, and it really, really made me, and I know the rest of the guys that are still there and the guys that have been there over the years, they've always made us feel at home and made us feel loved. And so that's all I can do is thank them. Hopefully I was able to repay them with, some goals and some wins and some good memories. It's kind of always the hope, and to really work to do that and repay the love they showed.
Awesome, man. Well, you definitely did. I'm sure I can speak for the other two guys. You definitely repaid us, and we were very appreciative to have been blessed to watch you on the field, on the pitch, and are thankful for what you did here in Phoenix. And we love you as a club, and we hope to see you back in the Phoenix Red one day.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We could not have enjoyed your time here more. And I would say that the first Phoenix Rising legend.
Oh, thank you.
Phil's making a statue right now of you to put outside. The club doesn't know.
It might be that old Ronaldo statue that they give away.
Chris, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't kind of go over?
I mean, the only thing for me would just kind of be to say, kind of wish the guys all they're back this year, just kind of wish them all the best this year and wish them a lot of success in this year and the future. And I'll be keeping up with their games, and hopefully they can win that one last game that we fell short of last year. That's kind of the goal. So I know it's a long road, and I know they're preparing for it, and I know everyone's ready to get season started. I've been in touch with a bunch of the guys and stuff, and so just really want to wish them all the best and huge amount of success this year.
Thank you, Chris. I'm sure they will absolutely appreciate that. The fans will have loved to have heard from you. I'm sure they're all wondering what happened to you because you are such a loved character here in this town. Chris, an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, mate. We here at Across the Pitch, and I'm sure the entire Phoenix Rising community here in Phoenix want to wish you all the best for your career, and hopefully we'll see you back here one day. Once again, absolute pleasure to have you on the show, mate.
No, thank you so much. Pleasure speaking with you guys. Really happy to be able to just kind of get on and kind of clarify everything for everyone too and stuff, you know. So I really appreciate you guys kind of providing that portal, and you guys are awesome.
Thank you, man. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we've really enjoyed having you on, and really glad to be able to chat with you and find out what's going on and catching up with your career here. And like I said, we're going to do our best to try it and watch some of your games over there. Maybe we can catch a YouTube or something. And we wish you all the luck and scoring goals this year.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll try and do my best to really kind of provide highlights via social media to kind of keep everyone informed as well. You know, I know that's kind of one of the big outlets, so that's my hope as well, is to kind of help everyone that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to those, so we'll retweet them out for you too.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, Chris, you have a great day, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right, no problem. Thanks a lot, guys.
And that was our exclusive English language interview with Chris Cortez, formerly of Phoenix Rising, a much-loved and very missed player here. He's now in Thailand in what can only be described as an amazing opportunity for him in a country with a burgeoning football culture. I don't think it'll be the last you hear of him, lads. He's an amazing talent, an all-round good guy, and honestly, that sort of talent, he's going to probably make a name for himself over there.
Yeah, he's going to do big things over there, and hopefully he comes back here. You know, we mentioned the MLS, and so it'd be great to see him back when that happens.
Absolutely. Or maybe an A-League team. I don't know, Sydney FC are not wanting for players, but you know, they don't do well to sign him up.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really great to have Chris on the show and to have a chance to talk with him about a few things and hear him reflect on his rising career and kind of give us an idea of what his plans are going for the future. And we certainly wish him all of the luck over in the Thai League and beyond. And like you guys said, we definitely hope to see him back in Phoenix scoring goals for us here one day.
We would love that. Phoenix Rising fans, if you want to follow Chris Cortez on Twitter and see how he does over there in Thailand, you can follow him. It's at C_Cortez88. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll also be sharing out any highlights that he puts on his social media, especially on Twitter throughout the year. And once again, we just really appreciate you coming on the show, Chris, and talking with us about everything that's going on with your career. And we look forward to seeing you post the highlight of your first goal over in Thailand soon.